Hi everyone, I'm Frank Daniels, and you're watching Football DataLab. We work with a database of over 30,000 active professional players across more than 80 performance metrics. Today, we're looking at how large the loan market really is and who depends on it most. Let's start with a simple number. Our dataset covers almost 32,000 players. Of those, around 2,500 are currently playing on loan. That's roughly 8% of all active professionals. On the surface, that sounds modest, but 8% means 1 in every 12 footballers on the planet is playing for a club that isn't technically his own. That's an entire parallel market with its own logic, its own participants, its own winners and losers. The question isn't whether that share is large or small. The question is who exactly makes up that 8%, which leagues carry the highest concentration of loan players, and at what age a loan stops being an exception and starts being the norm. Okay, that sets the overall picture. Now let's look at how the share of loan players breaks down across.
We already know how large the loan market is overall. Now let's look at where it's most active. This chart covers almost 10,000 players spread across leagues. Two bars jump out immediately: Italy and Scotland. Serie A has a noticeably higher share of loanees than England or Germany. Scotland sits right alongside it, which is surprising for a league at that level. One explanation is historical. Serie A has long had a culture of co-ownership arrangements and short-term deals, with clubs treating loans as a standard squad management tool. The other explanation is simpler. Most Scottish Premiership clubs don't have the budget for permanent transfers, so loans fill positions at a fraction of the cost. Germany and England sit at the bottom end. The big money leagues prefer to buy rather than borrow. Okay, that explains geography. Now let's look at age and who exactly.
We've already covered which leagues send and receive players on loan most often. Now let's look at who those players actually are, and the age data speaks for itself. Out of almost 31,000 loaned players in the database, the vast majority are under 23. The older the age group, the smaller the share. After 27, loans become rare. Beyond 30, they're almost an exception. There are two explanations. The economic one: a younger player costs less to maintain, so a club can send him out for experience without giving up his rights. The sporting one: at 20, a player needs minutes that a big club simply cannot provide. The conclusion is straightforward. Loans are primarily a development tool, not a crisis management measure. A market for adult loans does exist, but that's an entirely different story. Okay, we've broken down the age profile. Now let's zoom out to the bigger picture.
We already established that loans are primarily a tool for the young. But here's the real question. Does a player's quality level actually change that picture? This chart covers almost 18,000 players, split into two groups: everyone else and the top 10% by rating. The difference is striking. Among higher-rated players, the share on loan is noticeably smaller than in the general pool. One explanation is straightforward. Clubs simply don't release players who are genuinely helping them right now. Why send away a valuable asset when you actually need him? The other explanation is that stronger players move through the loan phase faster, reaching the first team sooner, so by the time this data was captured, they'd long since stopped being loanees. Either way, the conclusion is clean. Loans aren't an elite phenomenon. They're a development mechanism for players who haven't yet proved their worth at the highest level. The loan market is enormous, but it operates almost entirely at the lower end of the pyramid. If this kind of analysis interests you, subscribe, and we'll be back in a few days with more breakdowns from the same dataset.